Hi, welcome to this edition of Stevie Mack TV. Tonight we have an exclusive with Santa Claus himself, right here on the show with our panel of distinguished guests, Montel Jackson, the Reverend Al Sharpton, Big Mike, and a disgruntled elf. Stay tuned for that and more right here on Stevie Mack TV, right here, right now. So Santa Claus, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. First question right off the bat, how did you get to be Santa Claus?
You know, a lot of people ask me the question of how did I get to be Santa Claus? There was a lot of contenders for that job, I'll tell you. Some skinny, some short, some fatter than I am.
You being Santa Claus was definitely a political process because politically they had to vote, and when that vote was ratified, all the people who were engaged in that process were brought up on charges for fraud and political longangery.
Thank you, Stevie. I'm glad to be on the show. That's a ridiculous statement. The most ridiculous I ever heard about how somebody gets to become Santa Claus. I think that every race should have their own Santa Claus. There should be an Asian Santa Claus for the Asians. There should be a Hispanic Santa Claus for the Hispanics, and a white Santa Claus for the white people, and we'll all have what we want. What do you know?
Another question that people really want to know is, do you really live at the North Pole?
I'm actually in North Africa. You know, there's a misnomer about the North Pole and what have you. I live in North Africa.
Well, see, the whole North Pole issue is all about real estate. And politically, we know that the political climate and real estate economics, you couldn't possibly live in the colder hemisphere because it costs more to heat your house, being that you're a jolly size. Politically, the North Africa aspect sounds more sound and politically correct. Politically.
Who really cares about the real estate of Santa Claus? I wish he lived a little closer. That way I'd get my goods faster.
Here's a big question everybody has. Is Rudolph really a reindeer?
The whole fallacy about Rudolph being a reindeer, I gotta tell you, it was a car, actually. They had this car called the reindeer back in the day. It wouldn't go. They wished it would fly. They came up with the fallacy of a flying reindeer. It had red lights on it, and that's the red nose. What do you know? Rudolph was a car. Well, Rudolph was actually one of my drunk uncles, and he was very popular in the family. His nose turned red because he drank so much. His name was Uncle Rudolph, and he was always flying high. So that's how that kind of got twisted in there and turned out to be a fable about a reindeer. Actually, we don't use reindeer at all. We use antelope in North Africa.
I talked about the economics of reindeer meat being, not as important as pig meat and cow meat, and that's why they had reindeer. But now you bring in the aspect of it being an antelope as opposed to a reindeer politically. That sounds more astute politically. Astute, yes.
Is Rudolph really a reindeer? See, we know for a fact, the actual factual is Rudolph was a pimp.
Santa, we're looking at record unemployment. The economy is turned upside down. How are you possibly going to give out the same amount of toys that you have in past years?
We all know the economy's pretty bad. It's not hurting me because I make my money. Got mine in the right stocks and dividends, and I think you should too. But those who are suffering during this economy, you're going to have to deal with the toys that Santa give you. I mean, if he made a sock puppet and put it in your stocking, that's what you get. I get my toys from China. They're lead-based, and I don't really care about that because I got a lot to give out. So the economy won't really affect me much because I have stuff made in sweatshops in Malaysia and what have you. That's why we got elves that are disgruntled.
I didn't get paid nothing at all. Then he went and sent all the jobs overseas. Now I'm over there in the unemployment line. Santa Claus ain't never paid me nothing. Zero.
Now, you using lead-based paint in your toys, getting them from China and Malaysia, politically, that's a bad move because you can get shut down, Santa.
I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Lead-based toys. See, that's what's been killing the kids all along. Lead-based toys. Lead-based toys over here, lead-based toys over there, made in China, Malaysia, Japan.
You know, big as you are, with your size and whatnot, how do you get down a chimney? And let alone getting past the chimney with your size, the fire in the chimney? This is something that we want to know.
We all know that the actual Santa Claus used to smoke crack, and he was real skinny, and he used to come down that chimney and light his pipe in it. That's what used to happen. Yeah, I don't know how this one's getting in there now. That's a misnomer about the chimney and the fireplace and all that. I don't even know where that came from. You wouldn't catch me coming down a chimney. That'd be outright stupid. Landing in a fireplace. I come through the back door or through an open window. Santa Claus coming down a chimney in the first place, because no one, look, I'm a portly fellow myself, and I can't fit down a chimney, and I knew at an early age that no one was coming down any chimney, especially with a fire lit.
Well, see, politically, the fireplace was brought in because people who were chimney sweeps, they had a lobby in the referendum on the House floor so, chimney sweeps can be added to the whole Santa Claus myth, if you will. And that's where the whole coming down the chimney and through the fireplace got started. It was very political. Now, there's a big tradition of kids leaving cookies and milk out for Santa Claus. What have been some of the strange things that people have left out for you?
Well, some people have even left chronic out. They see my pipe, they figure, Santa must smoke chronic, and I do.
Can you tell us about Mrs. Claus? Where can we find Mrs. Claus? We rarely ever see her anywhere.
Everybody got some of Mrs. Claus draws. I had some of Mrs. Claus draws. Montel, I'm sure you had some of Mrs. Claus draws. We all had some of Mrs. Claus draws.
Did I get some? No. But that's another reason why I'm pissed off.
Well, see, politically, the Mrs. Claus aspect was ratified by the women's lib movement when they burnt their bras. That's what that whole thing was about. It had nothing to do with work or anything else. It was all about the Mrs. Claus aspect. Mrs. Claus is what they had going. And they wrote that up and put it through the House, and it passed on a 2010 vote politically.
Mrs. Claus, well, no comment on that. Zip of the lip. That's my bottom broad. The rest are just ho-ho-hos. Yeah, Santa's a player. I gotta let you know that right now. Well, you're gonna see me coming out in the news like Tiger Woods. Santa caught with this chick. Santa caught. Let Santa tell you, I'm getting my groove on. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Stevie Mack at Night TV. Don't forget to listen to Stevie Mack at Night Radio at blogtalkradio.com/comedian Stevie Mack. I'd like to thank all of our distinguished panelists. Big Mike, Reverend Al Sharpton, Montel Jackson. You all have a happy holiday. And you too, Santa. Have a happy holiday. And tune in next when we cover the year in review of Stevie Mack at Night TV. Remember, as I always say, the world is watching.